to Satish to walk you through the actual steps to get into using the tool and walk you through a bit of demonstration as well to give you a better insight of the tool itself and give you a bit of familiarity. Satish, over to you, please.
Yes. Thanks, Daniel. We will be sharing the slide after the call, but here's the URL for the tool. And when you receive the slide deck, you can bookmark this. You will also be able to find the URL on our partner center and distributor site as well. Okay. And just for to keep things simple, you could just bookmark it when you get the URL in hand. And this tool works on all browsers, and though we recommend Firefox and Chrome, you should be fine if you're on Internet Explorer. And you will need to use your Juniper Partner Center username and password to get onto this tool. This is the same username and password that you may have used to register and get into the training today. Okay, and we've gone through a proactive review of the users across each partner in APAC. So we enabled access to a lot of you already. If you're on this training, you probably have access to this tool already. If you don't have access, when you click on this URL, it will, if you don't have access, you will be presented with an email address that you can email in and request access. And we will get back to you in about a day or two's time with your access setup. Okay. For those users that do not have a Juniper login, here's the URL and instructions to sign up. And I think if you're on the call, you probably have a username and password. In case any of your colleagues want to do coding as well for this tool, and if they are not set up on the Juniper Partner Center, here's what they should do. Click on this line, register themselves. They will need to put in all the information and the authorization code to link their profile with your partner organization profile, and they will be good to go. And in most cases, they would get their access automatically when their username is created. And as I said, if they are not authorized at the time of creating their username, then they just need to email the alias that gets displayed when they try to log on into the tool. With that, I think we can talk about the tool itself. So I have a couple of screenshots here about the two key screens of the tool. I'm not going to go through this in detail. I'll actually do a demonstration and I'll bring up the actual screen and I'll walk you through what's on that screen. So let's get these a couple of screens here. And this is an Excel template there that goes along with the tool. This is a very simplified form of the code request form that you use today. And if you see, it has only 3 columns. And I'll also show you an actual version with filled out information, and we will talk about this today. And with that, let me switch from slide mode into a demo mode, and I'll be sharing my computer in just a bit. Okay, Daniel, can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen now, Satish. That's all good. Just as a reminder, just before you proceed on your demonstration, Satish, to all our partners, feel free to use the Q&A panel. If you have any questions that you'd like to raise, please do so. Just feel free to type that in through there, and we'll respond to them as soon as we see them as well. Thanks, Satish.
Thank you. So before we jump on into the details of how the tool I want to call out one more thing. So as Daniel mentioned earlier, this is an additional tool to our existing processes. which means we will still continue to do all our proactive code generation, and our renewal coding team will be sharing those proactive codes with you. For those folks who are not aware of proactive coding, every quarter we sweep all the existing contracts that are coming up for renewal, and we also sweep any unattached install base associated with those and customer reseller distributor combination. We do a lot of pre-processing, and we create code which capture pretty much all your install base that's coming up for renewal, and we get those codes out to you. So we strongly, recommend using those codes as well, because that's an automatic scan of all upcoming expirations, and of course it goes based on that particular data. So that would be a good place for you to start. And when you need specific codes, additional codes, that's when you can either use this tool for the small dollar straightforward scenarios. But if you have, you might still have scenarios where you will need to work with the renewal coding team with the access process. Okay, just wanted to make that plug in before we get into the details. So the screen that I'm sharing is the page that you would normally get into once you click on that URL and type in your username and password. And this is a very simple tool, and we've designed to keep it that way, in a simple fashion. And normal code submissions don't take more than a minute if you have the data in hand. Okay, and on the landing page here, you see all your historic code requests, and very similar to your email inbox, where you receive where you can see all your past emails. So on the leftmost column, you would see the unique identifier that goes along with each request you place. So this helps you to troubleshoot or ask any questions to the renewal coding team about your past code request. And then followed by the code request number, you will see the submitted submission time and date. And then you will see the status of the code request. There are three key code statuses. When you submit a new code request, the status would be submitted. And then when they are processed successfully, you would see the status change to completed. And when all the serial numbers that you're trying to request the code for, when they're all rejected, the status would say rejected. So on my screen here, you see a few completed code requests and rejected code requests. And one quick call out, if you submit, let's say, 20 serial numbers and request the code for them, and if the tool will go in and try to put all related information on those 20 serial numbers. And for some reason it finds data issues with 5 of them, what it will do is to go ahead and create the code for the 15 serial numbers that are good to go and fine from a data standpoint. The 5, it will display an error message on the validation report. And the status will still say completed right now. It doesn't tell you it was partially completed, but we are putting in an enhancement in the next couple of weeks. So you would see an additional status coming up to say if the request was 100% fully completed or was partially completed. Until then, we suggest that you look into the validation report that I will show you and walk you through just a bit, and confirm that all your data numbers have been processed. Okay. The next column is the WAR ID column. I know there are both distributor and DWAR partners on this call. For DWAR partners, it's pretty straightforward. It's your own WAR ID that gets populated here, and you don't have to do anything. Distributors, I'll walk you in the next screen while you request a code. You will have to populate the WAR ID of the reseller that you're trying to create a code for. And this column will display just that. Okay? And That's the war ID. The next column in here is the request column, where you will see an Excel attachment. This is nothing but the Excel code request form that you submit. And it's a simple form, and I'll walk you through how it looks like. We display it across here, so in case you submit a code request and get a code, but if you want to make tweaks to it, so like adding additional serial numbers or changing service level or changing service state, those are the three key changes you can do on the code request form. If you want to make revisions, or if you want to just go back in time and look into one of your past codes and look at the request that you placed, you can just come in here and download it. So in addition to looking through your computer hard drive, you can also come in here and download the past code request. And the last column is the most critical piece of information on the tool. This here displays the codes created by the tool. And you would see that for all my completed code requests, the tool has produced 3 different codes. So the tool creates a 1-year, a 2-year, and a 3-year code, and also displays a validation report up here. Okay. So let me go through this in a bit. So for every request that you place, the tool will automatically create a 1-year code with the specific information you put in there in terms of service level and duration. But it also tries and creates 2-year and 3-year duration for the same serial numbers you're requesting code for. It will just give you, a comparative view of how it looks like. And for those small dollar renewals, $200, $500 type of dollar renewals, this will come in handy because the 2-year and 3-year versions will incorporate the multi-year discounts as well. So you'll be able to compare what it costs for, the 2-year, 3-year version right there. Okay. And then as I mentioned before, it also displays the validation report. Let me bring up a few example files to show you how it all looks like. So let me bring up an official Juniper code that's created for the tool. I'm going to bring up a discrete sample first. So as you see here, this is a code that's created on the tool. This is no different from the codes that you receive from the coding team from the Juniper team members. Okay, so none of that changing. The tool, the engine behind the tool is still the same. So you don't have, you can use this code to go ahead and work with the order management team. So none of that changing. So I'm just going to bring up a DWAR code. There we go. So this is how our DWAR code looks like, and this is not changing either. And you will have 3 versions of it, 1, 2, and 3 years. And let me bring up a validation report. So this is a sample validation report. Column A, B, and C is the information that you provide, and we will get through that in a bit. But again, each material numbers that's submitted on column B, you would find a message from the system that says what's been done with that particular serial number. So in this scenario, you would see, except for the first serial number at the top, most of the others were successfully coded. The message says a 1-year, 2-year, 3-year code has been created and gives you the code ID for those 3 codes created. And those exact codes would be on the, available for you to download as well. But the first serial number, that's got some issue with it. It says the error message says the serial number has not been registered, and most likely this was an RMA device, and the system is not able to find the necessary end customer and the partner information against the serial number so it can code. So there are 18 to 20% scenarios where you run into errors, and the slide deck that we will share after this call has a couple of slides that captures all these different error messages and tells you why the error messages come up and what action you should take to work around this data error. Okay, so in some scenarios, we would ask you to register a device if it's never been registered, or if there were any contract partner mismatches. We try to, based on your login information, we identify who you are, which distributor or DUR entity you're associated with, and we try to match that against the contract that lists the serial number today, and we match them all. And if they all do not match, then we run into incumbency issues, and we display the appropriate error messages. So, and we'll go through some of those in a few slides once I switch from demo mode to presentation mode. But essentially, look in this validation report and look for any errors. And if there are errors, look through the training slides as to what you should do to handle those errors. Okay. But in a good majority of scenarios, I know we've done this testing with a few key partners already, and when the data is good, the code was successfully created. Okay, and for a high majority, the data is pretty good. Okay. With that, let me switch to the next screen. So this is the landing page. As I said, we'll give you the historic request information for you to request a new code. We request you to click on the blue link on the top called Request Code, and that takes you to this particular screen. And this is again a very simple screen, and you can see on the right side of the screen that you have the different pieces of information you need to fill in. So the first box you see here is the VAR ID box. Again, this is a piece of information that's relevant only for distributor partners. For the DVARs, when you log in, you will automatically find your VAR ID listed in here. Okay. This test user I'm using, this is a test distributor user, so that's the reason it's prompting me to type in the VAR ID. So distributor users, depending on who you're trying to generate a code for, the retailer that you're trying to generate a code for, please put in the corresponding VAR ID. And then the next box here is the code, send the code to, or the email alias box. So the tool that we, you're walking today, it takes about 30 minutes for it to create a code. From the time you submit a code request, it can take anywhere between 10 to 30 minutes. Okay, but not more than that in most cases. But we don't want to wait on the tool all that time while the tool is creating the code for you. What you can do is put in your email address. Your email address is usually pre-populated in here, but you can add in multiple emails in here. You can notify your team members or team alias in the code created too. So this is more for a notification standpoint. And the email addresses that get listed here will get a notification that will have an URL to the code that's created. So you can leverage that if you just want to be notified. And then just below the email box, you will find the URL for the Excel template. I'll go through them in just a bit. So we are making available two different templates, one for submitting SVC code requests and one for submitting PAR code requests. And I'm sure you would probably use the PAR form more than the SVC form given the volume of PAR renewal. And let me bring up a sample code request form. Okay. So this is how it looks like. As I said, it's very simple. It has just 3 columns. We only ask for 3 pieces of information, and just one of them is mandatory. The serial number column, the column A, that's the mandatory column. Column B, in column C are optional, so you can choose to fill them out if you want to override the default value. The reason we've kept it simple is we have a lot of information in our system because you've already gone through an initial contract in most cases, or for those devices that are not contracted, we have the I-based information that still tells us who the distributor, reseller, and end customer is on those I-based. So this tool leverages all that great information in our system. So we keep the process simple and just ask for the serial number from you, right? And let's go through this, right? So the first thing you got to do is download the template, and while downloading it, if you have two different versions, one for PAR and one for SVC, as I showed you before, and you don't have to do it every time. You just probably have to do it for the very first time when you use it, and then you can save it onto your computer. We ask you that you submit a code request for you submit individual code requests for each of your reseller and customer combinations, and also separate them out by PAR and SVC. Okay. So what we do is we don't ask you who the end customer is or what type of service on the form. So what we do is take the serial number you provided, go into a contract, identify the end customer, and also identify if it's SVC or PAR. And we check if all the serial numbers have the same end customer associated, or the same reseller associated if you're a distributor, and also check if they're all PAR or SVC. So if you want to code for multiple end customers, put the data and submit multiple, individual code requests for each of your end customers and each of your resellers. And also, if you have PAR and SVC for the same end customer, we'll submit it into multiple code requests. So it's simple and straightforward. Okay, from just code management standpoint. In case you combine them, the tool will give you the appropriate warning and error messages, and will only code for one end customer in a particular code. So just from the columns in here, it said column A is the key mandatory field, the serial number field. Column B is the support level field. You can choose to upgrade or downgrade the support level. If you leave this blank, the tool will automatically pick the support level from the existing contract. And this is a drop-down field. You can choose this field from one of these values pre-populated. We bring in all possible values in here. And one key benefit of this drop-down field is you don't have to remember all the Juniper service queues. You just need to pick the level of the node, and the tool will automatically interpret that and pull the corresponding service queue name. You don't have to remember all the different service queues for all the different products out there. And then the third column is the service end date. The tool, if you do not populate this, will default to a 12-month duration. But if you want to choose a different duration, you can choose to override the 12-month with it. But keep in mind, our policy, is to renew for at least 12 months. So this tool will allow you to input only values beyond 12 months. If you do put in a value less than 12 months, it will ignore it and then code for 12 months. So where this date field will come in handy is when you want to code them for a duration for the same date. You can put in the same date across all these devices, serial numbers. Sorry. But make sure all the dates for at least 12 months from the date of placing the request. And you might be seeing that there's only end date being asked here. There's no start date. So for those who are wondering where the start date is, so we default the start date based on the contract end date. So we keep it simple. So in our policy mandates that we always start from from the day next to the expiration date of the contract. So that's the reason you don't find a mandate here. That's not usable on the bill. Okay. And where you need less than 12 months, duration, and where you have questions around start dates and such, you can always work with the renewal coding team. So that's how the course request form looks like. Daniel, do we have any questions before on the chat box?
Yes, we actually do, Satish. There's 3 questions been asked so far. One is, I've kind of already responded offline, but I'll just read out just for the benefit of other partners as well, who may not see these. Question was, what about an upgrade scenario? Can it deal with, say, RTF to ND or ND to SD within the 30 minutes? Do you still need to do a pre-check on availability to support these SLAs? So that's one question, but there's also a follow-up question on that, and it's just based on the point that you said that with the request that you can change in the QRF to select the different SLAs, we can get we can do an upgrade or downgrade of the support contract. Right, so yes, so the answer to that question is yes, as long as the device, and correct me if I'm wrong here as well, Satish, but my understanding is as long as the device has not reached its end of life or end of support, they could select to have the next day or same day upgrade or downgrade of the support level based on the request that they would like to on the time of the renewal.
Yes, correct, Daniel, absolutely. The tool has built-in service availability checks. So for premium services, the tool will do the checks automatically. The one caveat here is the tool will look into the installed ad address while it's doing the service availability check for those premium services. And the accuracy is important. If the asset is new in the past year, please, the partners will use the appropriate, install-based update tools that are available already on a portal to get the location updated and then place the request.
So yeah, there's a scenario that was asked specifically around going from RTF to next day or same day, where they're still required to do a pre-check on availability to support those SLAs.
No, not required. The tool will also do the checks for service availability on that location where the asset is located. The key thing is the asset. We need to make sure that the asset is in the right location.
Right.
Yep.
And just in addition to that, can this be done mid-term of an existing support contract? Typically, our policy would only allow a downgrade of the support at the time of the renewal, but not, mid-term of a contract. Would the tool allow? Yeah.
No, the tool will, try to create code for, when you're using the start date app. Well, that it will use a date. But, the start date will be chosen based on the expiration date of the contract. So there is no way the tool can create a mid-term revision to a service or support level. In those scenarios, we suggest that the partner work with the coding team.
Okay, great. A separate question regarding end-of-life products. Does this tool flag particular product that reached its end of life? Will the request form so far approved by this tool?
Correct. So when the partner submits the serial numbers and the tool processes them, it will check, it will check the EOL and EOS status of those serial numbers. and it will do the, for end of life, it will do the step down as needed. And it will also apply the latest EOL policies from Juniper. So it has all those logic baked in, and the validation report will call out any specific, informational messages on those serial numbers if they're being set down. But the partners did not have to do anything more. So if a device is being end of life, the service level changes will automatically be applied to those serial numbers. Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Those are the questions that we've received so far. Yeah.
Super. So now let's switch back into the demo mode again, and we were looking at some of the sample, the codes, the request forms and such. And now I'm going to go through the actual submission process and show you how it works. So I'm in as a distributor, so I have to populate the WAR ID here, and I'm going to update the email address to my own. And I'm going to upload the sample file I just walked you through. So you see the click select file from your computer, and then you would see the file name of the document you're trying to upload. And then once you make sure that's the right name, you hit submit. And when you hit submit, the tool will do some basic checks on your Excel file, make sure the date format is correct and the serial number format is correct and so forth. To check for special characters and some basic validation before even it accepts the request. But if all those checks passes, this is what you would see: a thank you message that displays the file name that is submitted and the unique code request number. And that's it. So you click close and it takes you back to the landing page. And here you would see the new request on the top with the status is submitted and the timestamp in here. And just one more color on the screen, on the top right column, top right corner, you see the box that lets you filter and search for specific code requests that you had placed in the past. This will come in handy because once you start using this tool more frequently, you would find a lot of your historic code requests in here. And if you want to locate a particular code request from a month or two back, you can use the search box to triangulate and locate the particular code request you're looking for. And from a validity standpoint, all historic code requests will be displayed in here, but the codes will carry their own validity period. So that's the assets, duration. So we are not changing any of that. So when you receive the code, you can look forward to look to the date field in there that displays how long the code is valid for. And in case you place a request and it's been a while, code expired, you can come in and always place a new request to get a new code. It will pretty much be the same code as before, but the new date. Okay, so that's all we have from a demo standpoint, and I'll switch to the slides and I'll call out some of the features and limitations of the tool. Okay, so I'm back on the slide, and this message is for all our DUR partners. So when you try to use this tool, make sure that you understand what type of code you're trying to generate. This tool only generates code that you can use for booking directly with Juniper, as a DVAR. In scenarios where you want to go through distribution, please work with your distributors to get your appropriate quotation. This code will not be the same as the one that you receive from distribution when you want to go through them. All right. So make sure, and we've seen a lot of scenarios where where there are errors with the codes, and that this is one of the main reasons why the PO that you place gets delayed. I'm not sure. I'm not saying all partners do this. There have been instances of this errors happening in the CAS. So just reiterating the point here, this tool will help you generate code for where you can place the orders directly with Juniper. Okay. And with that, I'll go into some of the limitations the tool has. As we mentioned, we tried to launch a tool that that helps you with the small dollar candid straightforward renewal. There you have a high value code or a code that involves a huge number of line items. We still encourage you to work with the Juniper coding team members, either the service source team or the Juniper SPM. But again, this tool helps you with the high volume, the scenarios that you run into most often. And right now, the tool is available only for distributor and DVAR partners. And as I walked you through before, we determine the SVC or PAR type based on the existing contract. And in a particular quote request, all serial numbers should be of the same type, same service type, either SVC or PAR. Please don't combine them. If you do, you will find an error message on your validation report. The tool will only code for one of the service types, and the rest it will bucket them into an error message. The next key point to keep in mind is, only incumbent codes are possible. When you submit a code request, the tool will check if you are the partner on record in the existing contract, and will only code if they match. For non-incumbent codes, please work with the renewal coding team. We have our policies and processes, and we will do those checks to enable non-incumbent coding. Okay, so keep that in mind. And the last bullet here is end customers. All the serial numbers that you put on the code request, they should be associated with the same end customer. We check for that. It doesn't have to be the exact same site. They can be located in multiple sites, but they should all belong to the same end customer. And for those serial numbers that have never been contracted before, we ask you to register them first. If for some reason the devices are not registered, we will not be able to identify the associated information. So highly recommend that you register your install base once you purchase them. And if they're on a contract, they will be fine. But if they're not on a contract and you're trying to buy a new contract, they have to be registered. Okay. And then for premium services, it's important that the location is updated correctly in our database, so we can offer you the same day, next day type services, accurately. So please use the tools available on our partner center to either register or move the devices to their latest location. On the next slide here, we have a few more limitations. So from a pricing standpoint, we look at the partner involved, and we will automatically incorporate the partner-specific, partner-level specific pricing information, and we'll also incorporate any multi-year and other duration-specific discounting information. Okay, but if you want additional non-standard discounts, please work with your renewal coding team, and they will go through due diligence and enable that particular discount for you. Multinational codes, not possible. All the serial numbers that you're presenting in a code request form should belong to the same country. And as I mentioned before, SVC to PAR and PAR to SVC switches are not possible. The tool will pick the existing service type and code for the same service type. If you do want to switch, it is possible, but you have to work with the renewal coding team. From a duration standpoint, as I called out earlier, the tool will default to a 12-month duration. If you want any lesser duration, please work with the renewal coding team. And the last point is, I'm not sure if it's minor enough. When we code, we choose the normal 1-year SKUs, service SKUs, and code them for 1 year, 2 year, and 3 year duration. But if you do want an SV3 or a PA3 SKU, I know some services have these for 3 durations. If you specifically need these particular SKUs, again, we ask you to work with the renewal coding team. We understand the PA3 and SV3 SKUs are not available for all the service products, but they are available for a certain subset. In case you specifically want them, please work with the coding team. Those are the key limitations, and here's the big ask, right? So we are sharing the training materials with you, and we will be sharing the URL and such. When you start using this tool, we ask you to start small. This tool is designed to focus on the small dollar ones. Until it can handle a 500 line item code request or 750 line item code request, we sincerely ask you to start with, with smaller ones like 5, 10, 20, 50 type, code requests. And then as you start, to get a feel on how the tool works, in what scenarios the tool is able to successfully provide you with error, and what scenarios the tool produces error messages and such, you can slowly ramp up and go forward to the higher number of tier numbers. Okay. And this slide captures the code information. And I'm not going to go through all the details here, but here's the high level. When you submit a code request, and you get a code, and you want to revise that particular code, you can try to do that by submitting a new code request. The code request forms, accept changes to serial numbers, service levels, and service duration. But if you want to change something more than what's possible with code request template, please work with the renewal, the coding team. Okay, and the alias is listed right there. That's the same alias that you use today, APAC_code request at Juniper-service.net. But if you run into access issues, then if you have a Juniper username password, the tool will display an alias that you can reach out to. All right, and you can always reach out to our customer care team as well to request help with any access issues. But the key thing is on the right side of the slide here, you will see the most often requested help are associated with revisions to the code created on the tool. Most partners create the first version of the tool and then go to the renewal coding team, and then if there are any additional revisions, they work with the renewal coding team. On the bottom right corner, you see a few more aliases in here. That's the alias for the project team members in each of the 3 theaters. If you run into tool issues, or if you have enhancement suggestions, or if you have any escalation, you can use these aliases here. And the APAC alias is at the bottom. It's not displayed right here, but the PDF file that you receive with the slides will have the right, you will be able to pick it up from there. Okay. Those are the 2 key aliases. The alias for the existing renewal coding team, and the alias for escalations and enhancement ideas. That's at the bottom corner. And moving on, we will be sharing 2 key collateral after the training call. One would be the exact same slide deck. and then we will also share with you a built-in Word document that captures the key information on the tool. And with that, I'm going to pass it back on to Daniel. Daniel, or do we have any new questions from the partners?
Yeah, look, I think there's just the last question here, Satish. Also, just bear in mind we've only got 3 minutes left before the next top of the hour. So the last question here from the participant, does this tool help extending quotes validity or revalidate a quote?
Can you repeat that, Daniel?
Yeah, no worries. Question is, does this tool help extending quotes validity or revalidate a quote?
Yes. So what the tool does is pretty straightforward. For every fill number you put in the quote request form, it creates a new code, and it applies the appropriate backdating rules and such. And the quote validity gets updated based on the date when you submit the new code request. So it's pretty much a new code every time you submit a request. So you would gauge, even if it's for the same field numbers, you get a new code with the latest information on backdating and the code validity and so forth.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the last questions from the Q&A panel.
Great. I just want to reiterate one more the point that we mentioned earlier, which is, the tool will help you request new code, but keep in mind, we provide you with proactive codes that capture most of the install base already. Please review them in detail. That would save you a lot of time, if that works for you, right? We already capture all the field numbers based on the expiring contract. So this tool comes in handy for other requests, other requests that you may have for smaller subsets of those, codes or other scenarios. Okay.
Thanks, Satish. Thank you. I think we're pretty much close to the top of the hour, so just quickly wrap it up. So we'll, as Satish mentioned, we'll provide collateral, a copy of the slide presentation after this call to you guys, an email, what we presented to you and all other reference information regarding those FAQ error messages that Satish mentioned. They're all provided also in the slide deck, so please use that as well. And if you need additional information, additional support, again, please do reach out to the links and email address that are going to be provided in the deck as well to you. So I guess just on that, again, thank you so much for your time. I hope that this is a very useful session for you, and we'd like to see you start using the tool. So thank you again. Have a great day. I'll hand it over to Amy.
Thanks, Daniel, and thanks, Satish, and thank you all for attending. This meeting has ended. You can now disconnect.